Shalom, shalom, family. We at it again. And as always, I would like to give all honor and praise to the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Holy One of Israel, who is Jesus. I am Cassius Israel, a.k.a. Kazak Ben Yehuda. I represent the Walls of Jericho, Biblical and Historical Studies, Hebrews in the Hood Media. And of course, we always got some music to play for y'all while y'all coming in. Come on in, family. See y'all. Shalom to everybody coming in. Once again, brothers and sisters, we will, as I've been playing this music, we will come out. Shalom, shalom to you, brother. We will come out with this this mixtape on the 22nd. On the 22nd, you'll have good music to choose from, and most importantly, this is all for the Lord. Right, I'm promoting this, but this has nothing to do with us. This is all for the God of Israel and the praise of the God of Israel. And for that, it will be free for the people to listen to. But let us continue. Here we go.
I've been praying so much lately, I've been living on my knees. Southside Chicago, but I face the Middle East. Trying to cash my blessings, but I'm fighting off the sneeze. No ha-ha Davis, but it's
Shalom, shalom.
Nigga, please keep let me breathe. Gotta watch your pocket and I'm dealing thieves. Rockin' for your little schemes. I am not a doctor, but take two of these. Around the seas, but you better flee to the wilderness when you see the king. Never been a need to be, yeah. If you with a love, you know what I mean. Summer coasting with the summer folk on them gold ropes, we ain't rope a dope. Pretty clap every time I rap, bitch, I will be trapped like a turkey coat. Yeah, but staying focused on what's most important, that's the most. Have a fam and my woman. Metro train, take me to the lab, gotta stay on track like the locomotive. I be putting up for my team, I be putting up for my fam. They said everything God not made me, everything I am. Flow is smooth as peanut butter, so you know this is your jam. Walking looking like the man, all I know is ran. When it's the nicest, no profit is priceless. You already know that we gonna blow, ain't talking about ISIS. No playing devices, no sinners enticing. But I just relax and run up a bag and try to live righteous. My senses is heightened, remember the Titans. Just do it the best and run up a check, ain't talking about Nike. The place is so stifling, but you gotta fight it. Just want a fat piece, no marking the beast, just trying to live righteous.
Living life soda over ice, lemon pepper on my wings. Look how I made it. I ain't changed a thing and I even made it. Then I made it rain, but if I get this paper, would it even bring me currency? Happiness is what I need, like urgently. Currently, we fighting principalities, and I'm just hoping we don't have no casualties.
I'm not the type to go shade. I said straight to your face.
I'm meditating, I ride. I might meet a cloud as I meditate. See my eyes low, so the hate can't penetrate. I am in the days. If I move slow, then I might get blown out. I'm in a race. It's a time clock.
Shalom, y'all come on in, family.
For a night out or a nice watch, ready more sight, catch the fade. If my time come, I'ma rise up, lemonade and a piece of bread. I'm on top like maraschino eating, or like melanin on runway divas. Surrounded like your daddy, fat by the constant sight of nothing missing evil. Believing in the most high, made me good ties, hella different people. Now this word on me, that's my word on me. Any haters present, I'ma swerve on them. Man, I hope a lady never curve on me. Wait your turn, homie, you can learn some.
When it's the nicest, no profit is priceless. You already know that we gonna blow, ain't talking about ISIS. No playing devices, no sinners enticing. But I just relax and run up a bag and try to live righteous. My senses is heightened, remember the Titans. Just do it the best and run up a check, ain't talking about Nike. The place is so stifling, but you gotta fight it. Just want a fat piece, no marking the beast, just trying to live righteous.
All right. That was the song Righteous by my brothers Elijah Ben Israel and Average Bo. Shout out to both of them brothers. They will be featured on the mixtape as well. So, brothers and sisters, if y'all can see by the title, and as I put on the caption when I put the flyer out, is that I've done this before, but we have different reasons of doing this, right? And this is all circling around the fact that we see them over there in Israel right now, and they pretty much got a war going on. Like it's going to get worse and worse as time goes on, brothers and sisters, right? And that is because they are fighting over a land that is not theirs, right? They're fighting over our land, right? And so when we go through this, let's understand what is going on and why it's going on, brothers and sisters, because these people are fighting, plain and simple. These people are fighting over a land that belongs to us. And what's crazy is we don't even know that it is our land. These folks have been having series of war after war after war over a land that the original people don't even know is theirs anymore. That is sad, y'all. That's how deep we've gotten to these curses, right? But this was all based on the promise God gave to Abraham and all the sons under him in certain situations. You got Ishmael and then you got Esau. They were actually the firstborn, naturally the firstborn child. And guess what? They feel like they are the ones that should have the promises. As we're going to see, they conspired against you to even blot your name out from yourself. You don't even know who you are anymore, right? They know who you are, right? We always talk about this, that you can go into a store where the Arabs are, and you could just say any old thing or just ask them straight up, like, we're the Hebrew Israelites, or just say it. We know we're the Hebrew Israelites. They're going to say, yeah, we know. We're the only ones that don't know, brothers and sisters. And once again, we're going to bring light unto what's going on over there. We're also going to bring light to the fact that this is talking about a inheritance that was given to us. Not them, not the people fighting over it, but to us. So what we're going to do is we're going to start this at Genesis, the 26th chapter. Because this lesson is called the promise to Abraham is the land of Israel. Okay, the promise to Abraham is the land of Israel, right? Once again, they are fighting over something that is not theirs. But what we're going to do is we're not going to start. We're going to show how the covenant went straight. It went to Abraham. Now it's going to Isaac, and it will go all the way down to Jacob, right? So Genesis, the 26th chapter. Genesis, the 26th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 1. Genesis, the 26th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 1. Genesis 26 and verse 1. If you can like, share, or watch party, I really appreciate it. 26 and verse 1. And verse 1 reads, "And there was a famine in the land besides the first famine that was in the days of Abraham, and Isaac went unto Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. And the Lord appeared unto him and said, Go not down into Egypt, dwell in the land which I shall tell thee of." Remember, he's talking to Isaac, right? So this has gone past Abraham and it's gone to Isaac. So Ishmael is not in the picture, brothers and sisters. I just wanted to point that out, right? So he said, verse 3, "Sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and will bless thee. For unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father." So the oath was to Abraham, and now it's going through Isaac's seed, his seed. So Ishmael is already out of the picture. We see that, brothers and sisters, right? And so he swore this oath that Abraham is going down to Isaac. Let us continue. Verse 4. "And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and I will give unto thy seed all these countries, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. Because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws," right? So this is dealing with Isaac. He's telling this to Isaac, brothers and sisters, right? Unto his seed, he was going to give all these countries, these same countries that these folks over there fighting over now. It does not belong to them. It does not belong to them, right? So let's go see where that place is, right? Let's go to Genesis, the 15th chapter. We're going to see the location of this place. And it will show you, brothers and sisters, they not even fighting over the whole land. They got a little piece of strip of land that they over there fighting over, right? Genesis 15, and we're going to start at we're going to read one verse, verse 18. Genesis, the 15th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 18. Genesis 15 and verse 18. And verse 18 reads, "In the same day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, Unto thy seed have I given this land from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates." So we know now he's making it to Abraham, right? This is the chapter. If you start at verse 1, this is the chapter where he said he was going to give his seed all of these countries, brothers and sisters, right? And this land, same thing he said unto Isaac. But now he's specifically telling them what land he's going to give them, which is the land from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates, still in Africa. This is what we be telling people. This is still in the Northeast African region, right? So now let's go confirm that, right? It said that it's going to be his seed. So we got to understand, is it going to Esau? Now we done got past Ishmael, so let's see if it's going to Esau, right? Because we got both sons. You got Isaac that had Esau and Jacob, and then you had Abraham that had Isaac and Ishmael, right? So we already got past Ishmael, brothers and sisters. Now we're going to get past Esau, right? Is it Abraham, Isaac, and Esau? You see what I'm saying? Just like it wasn't Abraham, Ishmael, and whoever came after Ishmael. It was Abraham, Isaac. We know that. Let's go see if it was Esau. Let's go to Psalms 105. Psalms 105. Right? Our people will be out here and they'll, you know, I don't wish death upon nobody. I don't wish no war upon nobody. But people will be feeling sorry for on one point they'll feel sorry for the Israelis. At one point, they'll feel sorry for the Palestinians, right? But they're both fighting over a land that's not theirs. They both are entitled to a land that is not theirs, brothers and sisters, right? Because they don't come from Abraham, Isaac, and then as we're going to see, they don't come from Jacob, right? Let's go see that. Let's go clarify that. Confirm that, rather. Let's go to Psalms 105, and we're going to start at verse 6. Psalms 105 and verse 6. Psalms 105 and verse 6. And verse 6 reads, O ye seed of Abraham, his servant, ye children of Jacob, his chosen, right? So we didn't went past Abraham, Isaac. Now we're going to Jacob, brothers and sisters, right? Verse 7, he is the Lord our God. His judgments are in all the earth, right? He hath remembered his covenant forever, the word which he commanded to 1,000 generations. So he remembers his covenant forever, brothers and sisters, unto 1,000 generations. Who did he make this covenant with? Let's see. Verse 9, which covenant he made with Abraham and his oath unto Isaac. We saw that in Genesis 15 and in Genesis 26, right? We saw Isaac in Genesis 26. We saw Abraham in Genesis 15, right? Verse 10, and confirm the same unto Jacob for a law. So now we're past Esau. Right, so we're not even dealing with Esau anymore. We got Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Right, he said, and confirm the same unto Jacob for a law, and to Israel for an everlasting covenant, saying, unto thee will I give the land of Canaan, the lot of your inheritance, the whole land of Canaan, from the river of Egypt to the river Euphrates. Not this piece of strip they got over there. What they're fighting over now, brothers and sisters, that whole land is ours. Is ours. They should be fighting over the whole land, but it's not even theirs to begin with, right? So we know in the land of Canaan, excuse me, we know in the land of Canaan, all these countries from the river of Egypt to the great river Euphrates is the land of Israel, right? So we want to see this location real quick, right? So let's go confirm that in the law. Let's go to Leviticus, the 25th chapter. Leviticus, the 25th chapter. Now we got Abraham, Isaac, not Ishmael, and Jacob, not Esau. And those are the two that are over there now, besides the Gentiles that are over there as well, brothers and sisters, right? But the Gentiles know that's not their land. They know it's not their land. You see what I'm saying? Originally. They know their history and all that. They're just over there reaping the benefits, right? So where are we going? We're going to Leviticus, the 25th chapter. Leviticus, the 25th chapter, and we're going to read one verse 28. Leviticus 25 and verse 28. Like I said, brothers and sisters, it's time to wake our people up, because they're feeling sorry about people, for one, that hate them, and they're feeling sorry about people that's going to war over their land that they don't know is their land, right? So we just feeling, man, we love the other nations so much that they can do whatever to us and we'll still be on their side, brothers and sisters. But we want to make sure we're not living in ignorance as well. Leviticus 25 and verse 38. Leviticus 25 and verse 38. And verse 38 reads, I am the Lord your God, which brought you forth out of the land of Egypt, right? He brought you out of bondage to give you the land of Canaan and to be your God, right? So in the law, he's telling you this, brothers and sisters. That's what he's going to confirm that law. That's what he did in Psalms. He's coming to confirm that law, the law that he wrote with Moses, that they were going to get the land of Canaan. Right? The same promise he gave to Isaac and Abraham. Right? So let us continue. Now let's go to Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter. So we already know the land. We know the people that it was going to be descended from. Right? So you got the fake Jews that are over there, brothers and sisters. They come from, you got part of them that come from the Ashkenazi Gentiles, but then you got Esau over there. And then you got the Arabs over there as well, brothers and sisters, and they sitting there fighting over this same land that they know God gave the other children of Abraham, which is the Israelites, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? Deuteronomy 4, and we're going to start at verse 25. Deuteronomy 4 and verse 25. So now we're going to see, well, what happened to the original people that were in that land, brothers and sisters? What happened to them? Why are they not in that land now, right? Deuteronomy 4 and verse 25. Deuteronomy 4 and verse 25. And verse 25 reads, when thou shalt beget children and children's children, and ye shall have remained long in the land, and shall corrupt yourselves and make a graven image or the likeness of anything, and shall do evil in the sight of the Lord thy God, to provoke him to anger. I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that ye shall soon utterly perish from off the land whither unto ye go over Jordan to possess it, right? So he's telling them they're going to perish and not even be in the land no more when they corrupt themselves, right? Y'all going to teach your children and your children's children. Y'all going to teach generations, and y'all going to corrupt yourselves, right? And y'all going to do evil in the sight of the Lord to provoke him to anger, right? Verse 27. And what else shall he do? He said, the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Lord shall lead you, right? So you're going to be scattered and removed from your original country. And as we're going to see, strangers are going to come into your country, brothers and sisters, and then they're going to start fighting over it, knowing it belongs to you. Knowing it belongs to you, right? So he said, y'all going to be scattered among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen. That right there, brothers and sisters, just means that we're going to be a minority in the countries that we live in, right? It's still going to be a lot of us in those countries. We're just going to be the minority amongst the other nations, right? So let us continue. Now, we have a solution for these children of Israel to be able to get back to their country, right? And this is what this whole thing was about, brothers and sisters. How do you get the people back to their country? Not about going up to heaven when we die and all this. This was about living. Of course, we're going to live eternally in the kingdom of God, which is the Father's kingdom. But part of this was to get the people back to their original habitat, right? That's what part of it was. So let's go see that. Let's go to 2 Chronicles, the 7th chapter. 2 Chronicles, the 7th chapter. Second Chronicles, the 7th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 13. 2 Chronicles, the 7th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 13. So we gotta now see what is the solution to get the people, the original people, back into their original country. 2 Chronicles 7 and verse 13. 2 Chronicles 7 and verse 13. And verse 13 reads, if I shut up heaven, that there be no rain, or if I command the locusts to devour the land, or if I send pestilence among my people, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. And healing the land, brothers and sisters, is healing it from the people that have taken over the land and overthrown the land, and now they're fighting over the land, right? So think about what that he gonna heal the land mean, right? Think about all the wars that have to happen to get these people out of the land, right? Because they're not gonna, without a fight, brothers and sisters, they're not going to leave without a fight, right? They're gonna die before they just leave on their own, brothers and sisters. And that's what we do have to understand, right? So that is the solution, brothers and sisters, to get the original people back in their land. The solution is to pray, to humble yourself, pray, seek the face of God, and turn from your wicked ways, right? Then he will hear from heaven and forgive your sin and heal your land, right? That is what we have to do to get back to our original country, right? So let us go see now what happened. How is it like this now, right? How did these strangers and these foreigners come over here and overthrow this land, brothers and sisters? Let's go see that. Let's go to Isaiah, the 1st chapter. Isaiah, the 1st chapter. Isaiah, the 1st chapter, and we're going to start. Matter of fact, we're going to start at verse 2. Isaiah, the 1st chapter, and we're going to start at verse 2. Isaiah 1 and verse 2. Remember, that was the problem. I mean, the solution to getting these people back into their original country is to do what 2 Chronicles 7, 13, and 14 say. Humble yourself, pray, turn to God, seek God, and turn from your wicked ways. Then you will have the solution, brothers and sisters, right? But you got to stay in that. You can't, God is not helping us at this point in time. He gives us the time when he's going to actually help us, right? He's giving us prophecy on when these things are going to come to pass, but other things have to come to pass before that, right? Isaiah 1 and verse 2. Isaiah 1 and verse 2. And verse 2 reads, hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for the Lord hath spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. So we know what that means, right? Since they rebelled against the Lord God of Israel, or since we rebelled against the Lord God of Israel, brothers and sisters, we perished from off the land and we were scattered into the nations. That's going to allow somebody else to move in there and then take your identity, right? And then fight as if that is their land, knowing that it's not. We're going to see all of that today, right? He said, hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for the Lord hath spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib, but Israel doth not know, my people doth not consider. We don't even consider who our God is, brothers and sisters. We don't even consider why we're in this situation. And that's because we forgot who we were and we forgot who our God was. So you can't, if the people don't know who they are, they don't know a solution. Once you come back to the source, then you can get a solution, right? Let's continue. Verse 4. A sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters, they have forsaken the Lord, they have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger, they are gone away backwards. So we see that we ended up doing exactly what it was said in Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter. We were going to provoke him to anger, and we were going to soon perish, utterly perish, from off the land that he gave us and scattered into the other nations, right? So now let's see what ended up happening. Verse 7, skip down to verse 7. And verse 7 reads, your country is desolate. Your cities are burnt with fire. Your land, strangers devour it in your presence, and it is desolate as overthrown by strangers. So, brothers and sisters, you can see people actually living in that land, even though most of that land is a desolate wilderness. It's desert-like. But you can see other parts of the land where people are, where it is inhabited by people, brothers and sisters, but it can be desolate because it's overthrown by strangers. So that's why it's still destroyed, because the original people are not over there running their country. And so it said this is what's going to happen. The funny thing about this, brothers and sisters, this is Isaiah, the 1st chapter. You see what I'm saying? Isaiah was in the time with the Assyrians. Isaiah did not deal with Nebuchadnezzar, is what I'm going to say. He did not deal with Nebuchadnezzar, right? And the only time that the city and the places of worship was burnt up, brothers and sisters, and when Nebuchadnezzar came and burnt it up. Because it was still up and running overall. Judah was still there. Even when Ephraim got knocked out, Judah was still there. So this is a prophecy. As they're speaking it as it's already happened now. But this is actually a prophecy when you know the timeline, right? So this was about to happen. The strangers was going to come in. The strangers was going to come in, brothers and sisters, and then they were going to overthrow the whole land of Israel, right? They're coming in to overthrow the land of Israel, right? So let's go see that. Now, brothers and sisters, we got to see something else, right? Now that when we come and we wake up, we got to look at them do this. And this was part of the curses, for us to go look at them do and eat up the land that we have, the land that we are supposed to have, rather. Right? So let's go see that. Let's go to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. The Bible explains it all, brothers and sisters. It explains why things are the way they are. You just have to be taught by the people, by the priests, and it will show itself. It will reveal itself if you're ready to receive it. That's the thing. You got to be ready to receive it. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 33. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 33. Deuteronomy 28 and 33. And verse 33 reads, the fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always, so that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see. Because eventually you're going to know, man, that's my land. And they over there eating up everything that we've worked for to get it to that place, right? And it says, the nation which thou knowest not eat up. So we knew Esau, brothers and sisters, and we know Ishmael. But who else is over there that we didn't deal with until later on? The Gentiles, right? So we got to put everything into perspective of why he's saying what he's saying. The Gentiles we didn't deal with back then like that. It's not until Nebuchadnezzar comes along when we really start dealing with the Gentile. So this is a nation that we don't know about, right? We never dealt with, right? So you got the Gentile, you got Esau, and you got Ishmael over there. And they're all fighting for that land, brothers and sisters. The Gentiles more so fighting it because they want to make sure that the real people, they don't understand what's going on, so they can still be dumbed down and ignorant, so they can continue getting their riches, brothers and sisters. Oh, but Esau and Ishmael, they got another agenda, brothers and sisters, right? They feel like that's their birthright, right? They feel like that is their birthright, and they're willing to fight to the death over it, right? So let's go see. What they got to do now is they got to get rid of you first. Right? And even though they're fighting over the land, brothers and sisters, don't think they didn't conspire together and still conspiring together to make sure you stay out of that land, right? Let's go to Psalms, the 83rd chapter. Psalms 83. Psalms 83, and we're going to start at verse 1. Psalms, the 83rd chapter, and we're going to start at verse 1. Psalms 83 and verse 1. And verse 1 reads, "Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thine hidden ones," right? So they're all in cahoots together, taking crafty counsel against the children of Israel, right? Remember, he keeps saying, my people or thy people, which is the children of Israel. It's not the children of Ishmael. It's not the children of Esau. The children of Jacob, the children of Israel, right? Verse 4, "They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee." And that's what we have to always recognize. And we got to go out there and warn our people about. That these people that are fighting over this land, they are confederate against the original inhabitants of the land. Now that's sad, y'all. But God said this was going to happen due to our disobedience, right? So let's see who is confederate against them. We're not going to read all of this, but let's see who is confederate against him. Verse 6, "And the tabernacles of Edom," right? We got Esau, "and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes," more Ishmaelites, right? "Gabal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre," right? So we're going to start right there. We're seeing Amalek, Ishmael, the Hagarenes, and Esau. All of these are part of the family of Abraham, brothers and sisters, right? All of them are part of the family of Abraham. Even Ammon, but Ammon is not the son of Abraham. He's still part of the family. So your family is confederate against you. That's how messed up that is, right? Your own family is confederate against you, right? Your own family, brothers and sisters, right? And so he said Esau. Let's go see what Esau did with the rest of them, right? Because Esau got a special mark on him from the Lord. And that's because he's the twin of Jacob, right? So and then he was the one that originally had the blessings. He sold it, right? Like it was nothing. It wasn't worth nothing. You sold it for some soup, some lentils, right? So you didn't even cherish the blessings to begin with, right? And that was already sitting in his heart. So the Lord was like, man, it belonged to Jacob anyway. He don't want it no way, right? That's why it was so easy for it to get into Jacob's hands. Let's go to Obadiah now. Obadiah, the first chapter, or the only chapter, right? Obadiah, the first chapter, and we're going to start at verse 8. Obadiah, the book of Obadiah, and we're going to start at verse 8. Oh, let me get to it. Get myself to it. Why can't I find... Hold on. Obadiah be, this is... Yup, that's exactly what the book say, right? These people, it just trips out because these people are fighting over your land that you don't even, like the majority of us don't even care about. They were not even thinking about, brothers and sisters, right? They're over there fighting over that land, right? So we're at Obadiah and we're going to start at verse 8. Obadiah 1 and verse 8. And verse 8 reads, "Shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and understanding out of the mount of Esau? And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed to the end that every one out of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter." And why is this, brothers and sisters? "For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever." Forever, right? So if you're getting cut off, you're not going to get an inheritance like your brothers, right? You're going to be cut off. There ain't going to be no Edom or Idumea in the kingdom, brothers and sisters, right? It's going to be cut off from being a nation. They're doing exactly what the Lord's going to do to them as a nation. They're trying to do to us as a nation, right? So because of that, they're going to get cut off, brothers and sisters. Right? We can't circumvent that. Esau gonna get cut off, right? But the individuals, every individual can make it, but that's individual. You got to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. But as far as the people, brothers and sisters, they're done, right? We can't sugarcoat that, right? They're done. Verse 11. "In that day thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates and cast lots upon Jerusalem. Even thou wast one of them," right? One of them. Now, who were the strangers that took Jerusalem, brothers and sisters? The Gentile. This is what kills me with my brothers, and I love them, but this is what kills me about my brothers. Some of my brothers and sisters is that y'all read this and say this is a white man, but then who are the Gentiles? Y'all say Esau is the Greeks, right? But the Romans did this. The Babylonians and the Romans did this, and the Romans come from they're the family of the Greeks. And so, what are they? Are they Edomites or are they Gentiles, brothers and sisters? We can show that was the Gentiles that came, right? But that's just a side note, right? Verse 12, "But thou shouldest not have looked," "but thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger, neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction," right? So this is the children of Judah. I want people to really pay attention to that, because the children of Judah got taken by the Gentiles once again. The Gentiles. It says, neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity, meaning that they moved in. Y'all entered into the gates. Y'all done moved in. Y'all done sat there and took their identity and made yourselves Jews, as we're going to see. Y'all made yourselves Jews, right? Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. So why everybody is wondering why they can't find artifacts to prove Israel, we're finding them now, right? Because we're in the last days now, so everything is being revealed now. But back in those times, brothers and sisters, you couldn't find nothing. Why? Because the people that conspired against you took your substance away from you. So that's why it's so hard. That's what you got to tell people. Well, why can't we find anything, this, that, and the other? Take them to Obadiah. Explain about the crafty counsel. I've done this and left people with no answers, brothers and sisters, after that. right? Because you have something to answer or rebuttal to that particular doctrine that they try to say. Verse 14, neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. So they was just, hey, they trying to get rid of the children of Israel. They trying to make sure that their name remains no more in remembrance, brothers and sisters. Right? Let us continue. Verse 15. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen, as thou hast done. It shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. So this is why he's dealing with Esau. That is why he's dealing with Esau. He's not the white man, brothers and sisters. He can pose as the white man because his skin color is like that, right? Because they've mingled with the Gentiles a lot more than we've mingled with the Gentiles. We've mostly mingled with Ham. They mostly had mingled with the Gentiles eventually, right? Let us continue. Verse 16, for as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been, right? You know what that drinking he talking about, brothers and sisters? He's talking about the drinking of the wrath of God, the cup of the wrath of God. And it says it's upon all the heathen that have done, that was part of this, basically. All the heathen that was a part of taking down Israel, putting them into captivity, and making their lives filled with hard and bitter bondage. Those are the people that he's talking about, brothers and sisters, right? Verse 17, let us continue. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possession. But I thought they were over there already. See, this lets you know they're not over there, brothers and sisters. Those are not the people. Those people moved in, right? Those people became Jews. Of course, now, just to be extra clear, because I don't want nobody trying to catch me up on my words. Yes, we converted the Edomites during the Maccabean and Hasmonean dynasty. However, they still completely stole our identity, brothers and sisters. So this is what I'm trying to convey, right? They completely stole it, but we will be delivered. And he said that there shall be holiness. That's the biggest thing. For us to get this back, there has to be holiness, which is the keeping of the law, statutes, and commandments, right? And then he said, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possession, right? It's their possession, right? Let's keep going. Let's see what these people are adamant now, right? They not, like I said, they're not trying to give this up without a fight, brothers and sisters. And so let's go see that. And they got audacity, brothers and sisters. Y'all got to understand who you're dealing with, right? Let's go to Ezekiel, the 35th chapter. Ezekiel, the 35th chapter. Ezekiel, the 35th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 1. Ezekiel, the 35th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 1. Excuse me. It's the doggone chair. Flimsy chair. Ezekiel 35 and verse 1. And verse 1 reads, Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. So we know we're still dealing with Esau, brothers and sisters, right? He said, and say unto it, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate, right? So now this is going back to Obadiah, right? Because they've been cut off from their land, brothers and sisters. They're just not going to get it back. See, he already cut them off. What people don't understand. Why they trying to make this purely a future prophecy, right? It's a continuation, yes. But why they trying to make this a pure future prophecy? They already got cut off. You don't see nobody talking about let's go to the land of Edom. right? Let's go visit the Idumeans. You don't hear nobody saying that. It's already been done, brothers and sisters. They just not going to get it back. And then they took somebody else's inheritance and somebody else's possession because theirs got destroyed by God. It's desolate, right? He said he going to make it most desolate, right? Let's skip down now to where we at? Verse 7. Skip down to verse 7. Is in verse 7 he says, Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate. He said it again, right? And he said, and cut off from it him that passeth out and him that returneth, right? So he just going to destroy this nation completely. He going to destroy Mount Seir completely, brothers and sisters. He's not going to let the people, those original people, inhabit it. Why? Because look what they did to their brother, right? They still, like I said, they fighting over a land they know they took from you. They know they took from you, right? Verse 8, and I will fill his mountains with his slain men in thy hills and in thy valleys and in all thy rivers. Shall they fall that are slain with the sword? I will make thee perpetual desolation, right? He said, I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy cities shall not return, right? He's not going to give them a inheritance back. Their cities, none of that is going to return. So guess what? They steal your cities. They kick you out and steal your cities. They help the strangers. Well, God kicked you out, but they helped the strangers that wanted to overthrow you. They helped them get you out of there, brothers and sisters. And they moved in there and then they're posing as you, right? So he's not, like I said, he's not going to let this thing go. And he's even saying this is part of the prophecy. They not going to let this thing go, brothers and sisters. Let's read that. Hold on. It says, I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy city shall not return, and ye shall know that I am the Lord, because thou have said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine. Talking about Jerusalem and Samaria, Israel and Judah. These two nations and these two countries are mine. They not finna give it up, right? And he said, and we will possess it. And whereas the Lord was there. So you see why everybody, they posing like they original people. They got this religion, Judaism all over there, brothers and sisters. They said they going to possess it. It's theirs. And they going to possess it as if the Lord was there. Y'all see how, y'all see the audacity? And they know they conspired to get you out of there. But they not going to give it up. You can see why God hates Esau, right? You can see it, right? That don't mean you hate him. I want to make that clear. That don't mean you hate him, but you can see why God hates Esau. After all he's done to show he does not love God, he hates him, right? Verse 11, therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will even do according to thine anger and according to thine envy, which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them. And I will make myself known among them when I have judged thee. So don't be alarmed when you see him over there judging them when they're doing what they're doing in that land, brothers and sisters, right? They going over the top over there, right? And so he said he going to make himself known to you when he's judging them. That's why when we're able to see what's going on over there and we see them getting eating the fruits of our land, brothers and sisters, when we're now conscious to what's going on, you see what I'm saying? We're going to sit there and be like, dang, you ain't going to be able to do nothing about it. That's part of the curses. And he's taking claim to your land. And he ain't leaving without a fight, brothers and sisters. He is not. Let's continue. Verse 12. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord, and that I have heard all thy blasphemies, which thou hast spoken against the mountains of Israel, saying, they are laid desolate, they are given us to consume. That's what they think about you. You are a desolate people, and you're for our consumption. Right? So when you see them consuming the fruit of your land, you ain't going to be able to do nothing about it. Right? He said, I have heard all thy blasphemies. That sound familiar to y'all? If it don't, let's familiarize yourselves with this, right? Let's go to Revelations 2:9. He said, I have heard all your blasphemies. Right? And he talking to Esau, right? We know that Esau is over there. He's playing the Jew, right? He is playing the Jew, right? The original Jew. He's taking your inheritance and your identity because he lost his, brothers and sisters. And he lost his because of the violence that the violence and conspiracy he has out on you, right? But Ishmael is right along with him, right? Philistines, all of them, they right along there with you, with them, brothers and sisters. And we cannot forget that. Revelations, the 2nd chapter. That's where we're going. Revelations, the 2nd chapter, and we're going to start at verse 9. Revelations, the 2nd chapter, and we're going to start at verse 9. Revelations 2 and verse 9. So remember, back in Ezekiel, brothers and sisters, in Ezekiel, the 35th chapter, he said, I have heard all your blasphemies. He's talking to Mount Seir. I have heard all of your blasphemies, right? Or the Edomites he's talking to. So what is this? Verse 9, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. We see who he's talking to. He's talking to Esau. I know the blasphemy of them that say they are Jews, but are not. Why? Because they sat there and conspired against you. And now they said these two nations and these two countries are mine, and we will possess it as if the Lord is there. Y'all got to see how deep, that's deep, brothers and sisters, right? But let's go see how God feels and what he's going to do because of that. We already see he said he was going to he was going to reward them with their own doings, right? Let's go to the next chapter, Revelations 3 and 9. Revelations 3 and 9. Revelations 3, and we're going to start at verse 9. And verse 9 reads, Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Right? He said he's going to make himself known unto you, children of Israel, when he judges these fake Jews. So don't get alarmed. That's what I'm saying. Y'all seeing what's going on over there? Don't be alarmed by that. Let God cleanse your land. Ain't you humbling yourselves and seeking him and turning from your wicked ways? Well, then if you do that, he's got to heal your land, right? He's going to have to heal your land. But how can he heal your land if strangers have overthrown it and taken it for their possession? It means he got to get, like I said, he got to cleanse it, brothers and sisters. That's as much as I'm going to say on that. He got to cleanse that land, right? But he says, Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Love thee, right? Because you're going to possess your possession, right? Verse 10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all of the world to try them that dwell upon the earth, which is the great tribulation. So the great tribulation, it's really going to get bad for them, brothers and sisters, right? And he going to make them to come worship. Why is that? Because you're going to be kings and priests. He going to make them to come worship before your feet. Right? So what is he telling and this is Jesus speaking, right? So what is he telling his people? Verse 11, Behold, I come quickly, hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown, right? So hold fast the words of his patience, which is the laws, statutes, and commandments, brothers and sisters, right? Hold fast unto that. Because even though y'all see what's going on over there, he going to flip this thing around. He going to surely flip this thing around, right? Because at the end of the day, what is this whole thing about, right? Why are we going through all this? What is this whole thing about? This whole thing is about restoring the kingdom of Israel and bringing the people to God. That is what this whole thing is about, right? So let's go see and confirm that. Let's go to Acts, the first chapter. Even when Christ was on the earth, there was things that they were concerned about, and it wasn't going up to heaven, right? There was real things they were concerned about, brothers and sisters. If people would look at it like that, they would look at it as a history book, as a real life events happening in real time, and be able to separate themselves from the religious thoughts of this book, right? Acts, the first chapter, and we're going to start at verse 6. Acts, the first chapter, and we're going to start at verse 6. So when the people saw who the Messiah was and they believed, brothers and sisters, they were concerned about one thing they wanted and thought he was going to do at that time. We're going to see that. Acts 1 and verse 6. And verse 6 reads, "When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom of Israel?" Right? They're wondering, is he going to restore the kingdom of Israel? Not, are you going to bring us into heaven? We're going to restore the kingdom of Israel, an actual country that was promised to an actual people that actually exists. You see what I'm saying? The kingdom of Israel, brothers and sisters. So what did he say? Verse 7, "And he said unto them, It is not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father hath put in his own power, but ye shall receive power after that the Holy Ghost is come upon you, and ye shall be witnesses unto me both in Jerusalem and all Judea and in Samaria and unto the uttermost parts of the earth." Remember, they had to take over and overthrow those two countries and those two nations. That's Jerusalem, we see here, and Samaria. That's why they had to be witnesses unto Jerusalem and Samaria, because they were being conspired against, brothers and sisters, by their own people as well. And let's not act like Israel's not in on the conspiracy as well, brothers and sisters, right? Because we really started it, if you really think about it, right? Let us continue. Let's go to Ezekiel, the 34th chapter. Ezekiel, the 34th chapter. Remember, brothers and sisters, this was all about restoring the kingdom of Israel. And who is the kingdom of Israel promised to, right? Because the promise through Abraham, to Abraham, brothers and sisters, was the land of Israel. That's why they're fighting so hard over it, because it was a promise from God. The best of the land, brothers and sisters, right? The best land ever. But they polluting it, right? There were certain things we were supposed to do to keep the land up so that it could be the land of milk and honey, right? They want to possess the land of milk and honey that was given to us, and we didn't appreciate it, brothers and sisters. That's why we're not there today, right? We got to get the mind frame to be able to go back and possess our own country, because Israel can't do it right now, right? We want freedom. We want to be able to be liberated, right? This whole black movement, Black Lives Movement, was for us to get to a place where we can have the quote unquote 40 acres and a mule, right? But you had more than 40 acres and a mule and you couldn't handle it, right? You threw it all away just to get 40 acres and a mule. You threw it all away, right? Let us continue. Ezekiel 34, and we're going to start at verse 11. Ezekiel 34 and verse 11. So this is what he's going to do, especially in these last days, brothers and sisters. That's why so many of us are waking up now, right? Ezekiel 34 and verse 11. Ezekiel 34 and verse 11. And verse 11 reads, "For thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I, even I, will both search my sheep and seek them out." So if you're wondering, brothers and sisters, the God of Israel is seeking out and searching for his sheep, right? And when he came on the scene in the flesh, he was seeking out and searching for his sheep. That's why he said, I'll only come for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He's coming to seek out his sheep, right? Verse 12, he said, as a shepherd seeketh out his flock in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered, so will I seek out my sheep and will deliver them out of all places where they have been scattered in the cloudy and dark day. That's why when he came on the scene in the flesh, brothers and sisters, they had asked him, man, you coming to restore the kingdom of Israel at this time? Because this is what it was all about. That's what they were reading in the prophecies. So when they recognized who he was, that's when they asked him that question, right? Because he kept saying it. Verse 13, and I will bring them out from the people and gather them from the countries, and I will bring them to their own land and feed them upon the mountains of Israel by the rivers and in all the inhabited places of the country. I will feed them in the good pasture, and upon the mountains, the high mountains of Israel shall their fold be, right? I'm going to bring you back to your fold if you ever hear that. I'm going to bring them back to their folds, meaning I'm going to bring them back to the mountains of Israel, right? And in a fat pasture shall they feed upon the mountains of Israel. I will feed my flock. I will cause them to lie down, saith the Lord God. He will feed his flock, brothers and sisters, right? He's going to feed his flock. That's why Jesus ended up telling Peter, you love me, feed my sheep, because I got to feed my flock. I got to feed and seek out my sheep, right? And those who are his sheep, they're going to hear his voice. They're going to come back to him because they are indeed his sheep, brothers and sisters. Right? And you can be a sheep without knowing you are. But when you hear that word, you're going to start adhering to the shepherd's call, right? Let us keep going. Let's go to Isaiah, the 27th chapter. Isaiah 27. That's what he came on. He came to do that in the flesh. He's going to come back to do that. And he's doing that in the spirit, brothers and sisters. That's why we got to take heed to his call when he calls us. So don't reject the law when it's presented to you. Adhere to it, right? Isaiah 27, and we're going to start at verse 12. Isaiah 27, and we're going to start at verse 12. So when he comes back, and now he's going to gather us, brothers and sisters, he ain't going to leave not one of us behind. It's funny because what's going to end up happening is y'all going to start seeing like the people that you thought, man, I know they not going to wake up. Right? Remember, he's going to come and get us one by one. So y'all going to be wondering, right, the person you thought the least was going to even take hold to this thing, they're going to start waking up. Why? Because he's going to come and grab them, brothers and sisters, or they're going to die in the process. But if they still alive, they're going to wake up. They're going to wake up. Trust me. Isaiah 27 and verse 12. Isaiah 27 and verse 12. And verse 12 reads, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall beat off from the channel of the river unto the stream of Egypt, and ye shall be gathered one by one, O ye children of Israel. So like I said, if you start seeing people like, dang, I ain't know they was going to wake up. He going to gather us one by one, brothers and sisters. Just understand that, right? Verse 13, and it shall come to pass in that day that the great trumpet shall be blown, and they shall come which were ready to perish in the land of Assyria, and the outcasts in the land of Egypt, and they shall worship the Lord in the holy mount of Jerusalem, right? So until you're ready to worship, brothers and sisters, you're not ready to get your country back. Ain't that something? You got to be able to worship and be obedient. You got a whole country, whole inheritance waiting on you. Stuff that was promised to your family lineage in ancient times, still waiting on you. Still waiting on you. But you ain't going to get it if you've been cut off from your inheritance, brothers and sisters. And if you've been cut off from your inheritance, including your spiritual inheritance, you're going to be in a lake of fire, right? That's what you're being cut off. Right? You can be cut off from the land of living, and you can be cut off from the land of living, the eternal living, right? So, period. Let us continue. Let's go to Zechariah, the 8th chapter. Remember, all of these things, that's just letting you know, brothers and sisters, we went through how the children of Ishmael and Esau, they're fighting over a land that is not theirs. And then they know that's not theirs. They have conspired against you, and then they're still fighting. That's like, dang. Like, let's throw them out of here. We're going to work together to throw them out of here. But when we get in here and we overthrow this place, we're going to go to war to see who's it belongs to. Right? That's sad, y'all. That's the evil in the hearts of men. Right? Zechariah, the 8th chapter, and we're going to read one verse. Verse 23. Zechariah, the 8th chapter, and verse 23. Zechariah 8 and 23. And verse 23 reads, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold of all languages of the nations, even shall take hold of the skirt of him that is a Jew, saying, We will go with you, for we have heard that God is with you. Now, when did this... it's stuff in here that's obvious, man. This didn't happen. It says 10 men. I got to look at that again. It says 10 men shall take hold of all languages. Y'all go look, do the math. Y'all go look at how many languages it is in the world and then add 10 men on top of that, right? That'll give you how many people is going to actually do this. This never happened, brothers and sisters. So we know that them people, we know we got fake Jews in the land. That's lying. They are the synagogue of Satan. You can see that by their religious practices, their ceremonial practices, and all. But they're going to be posing as you. They said these two nations and these two countries are mine. They taking possession over it. Ain't that crazy? They say that. These two nations and these two kingdoms, once again, talking about Jerusalem and Samaria, are mine. And we shall possess it as if God, the Lord, is there. As if. So the Judaism makes sense, brothers and sisters. They got to pose as if the Lord is there, right? So there are people out there like that. You got to question whether they're the real people. We got fake Jews that are in the land that possess it, say it's theirs, and they live over there as if the Lord is there. You got to take all of that into consideration, right? So these 10 men from these languages, they didn't do that with them. Right? They got there in 1948. They know 10 men from 10 languages in 1948 say, we going with you because we know God is with you. That did not happen, brothers and sisters. Right? So we got to be mindful of that, right? Let's keep going. Let's go to Jeremiah, the 30th chapter. It is so easy to all you got to do is educate yourself, right? And if y'all know the plan they actually have for us, brothers and sisters, like me and my brothers be talking about, this is old to us, but if you haven't heard about it, they talk about the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, right? They have a whole protocol of what they gonna do to what they call the goyim, or the strangers, or the heathen, brothers and sisters, right? They have a whole plan for you, and if you listen to it, it's insulting because part of the plan is you're stupid. That's how I'm gonna be able to do this to you, because you're stupid, right? And we don't want to give them that power, brothers and sisters. But hey, is that what you want to do? That's what you want to do. Jeremiah 30, and we're gonna start at verse 1, right? Because we keep seeing that this land was promised to these people, but it was promised to us, brothers and sisters, right? That's how, this is a good land, right? It's a good inheritance. We need to appreciate it more. Jeremiah 30 and 1. Jeremiah 30 and verse 1. And verse 1 reads, the word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Thus speaketh the Lord God of Israel, saying, Write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. For lo, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, saith the Lord, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. right? So he's going to keep doing this. He said, man, write these words in the book. Make sure we remember this and make sure this is where our faith comes from, because God did write it in the book that he's going to come and return his people unto their own land, brothers and sisters. Now imagine if we didn't have this. We would have all these nations conspiring against us, and they were going to keep us here until we all died off, right? This is serious, brothers and sisters, serious evil going on, right? Verse 4, and these are the words that the Lord spake concerning Israel and Judah, right? Because he's going to bring the two sticks back together, right? Ezekiel 37, he's bringing the sticks. He's waking up the valley of dry bones, right? Putting life into them, putting his law, statutes, and commandments back into them, brothers and sisters, allowing them to breathe, allowing them to come back and form together as that great nation they once were, right? So let us go and confirm that this man is not, he was never talking about going to heaven, brothers and sisters, ever. Ever. He was always talking about coming to Mount Zion. His resting place was Zion. Let's go see that. Psalms 132. Psalms 132. Psalms 132, and we're going to start at verse 7. Psalms 132 and verse 7. And verse 7. And verse 7 reads, we will go into his tabernacles. We will worship at his footstool. Arise, O Lord, into thy rest, thou and the ark of thy strength, right? So into his rest. This is going to be his final resting place as well, brothers and sisters. Is it going to be heaven? Let's see. Verse 9, let thy priests be clothed with righteousness, and thy saints shout for joy. For thy servant David's sake, turn not away the face of thine anointed. The Lord hath sworn in truth unto David, he will not turn from it. Of the fruit of thy body will I set upon thy throne. Talking about Jesus, right? Right. So we know, and even if you want to get, even if we want to try to get cute, the OT only Bruce, somebody from the house of David gonna have to rule. Now, how you gonna know that's somebody from the house of David? Right? We don't even know how genealogy like that, brothers. So we can't track genealogy. So if this is gonna happen in the future, how would you know that? How would you really know that, right? That's why it makes sense for Christ to come in the cloud and come down in the cloud with all his saints. He ain't gonna come through another woman, so you gotta find out what his lineage is. We're lost. We're a lost people, so that wouldn't make any sense, right? But through the fruit of the body of David, right, through his lineage, he will set upon thy throne, right? Verse 12, if thy children will keep my covenant and my testimony that I shall teach them, their children shall also sit upon thy throne forevermore, right? So your children will sit upon the throne of David as well, brothers and sisters, because we're all going to become kings and priests with the Most High God, right? Verse 13, for the Lord hath chosen Zion, right? Not heaven, brothers and sisters, Zion. It says he hath desired it for his habitation. Zion, right? They've done archaeological work on the place where Zion was, brothers and sisters. You could see it, right? Of course, you can't see it the way it's going to be now, but you can physically see it instead of wondering, oh man, I'm just wondering what's going on with my family in heaven, right? They did a number on us. They did a real number on us. So he said, for the Lord hath chosen Zion. He hath desired it for his habitation. Verse 14, this is my rest forever. Here will I dwell, for I have desired it. Here will I dwell, said the Lord. The Lord said, I'm going to dwell in Zion forever, right? So we have to know that, right? So let's go see that. Let's go to the last place, Revelations, the 20th chapter. Revelations, the 20th chapter. This is when we come back. All of these prophecies that are explained in the children of Israel and their return back, this is when it's going to happen, brothers and sisters. Revelations, the 20th chapter, And we're going to start at verse 4. Revelation, the 20th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 4. Verse 4, remember it says that the children going to sit on thrones forevermore as well, right? Verse 4, Revelation 20 and verse 4. And verse 4 reads, and I saw thrones. There it go. Those them same thrones in Psalms 132, brothers and sisters. He said, I saw thrones and they that sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. So obviously, now, this is all the people that will say, only God can judge me. Well, then who are these people? What are they at this point? See, we show people and we teach people that God was creating God. So yes, God is the only one that can judge you, but he could give you the power to judge, right? He could give you power in the flesh to judge. But at this time, we're going through the first resurrection, brothers and sisters. These people have become God now. That's why why judgment was given unto them, right? And so in judgment was given unto them, and I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. Those are the people that's going to sit on the throne of David with Christ, brothers and sisters, right? Verse 5, but the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection, right? Verse 6, blessed and holy is he that have part in the first resurrection. On such the second death hath no power, but they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. By that time, that's when he's talking about bringing everybody back to their folds, because they are going to reign with Christ for 1,000 years. That's as king and priest. As king and priest, brothers and sisters, right? Because they're going to sit on them thrones, right? So, like I said, we get to the point where we're praying to God and we're seeking his face, brothers and sisters, and we're humbling ourselves and we're turning from our iniquities and our wicked ways, turning back to the law, statutes, and commandments, brothers and sisters. Then he's going to heal that land. When he starts seeing us wake up and he starts seeing us want to come back to our folds through our obedience, you're going to start seeing him cleanse that land more and more. He's going to heal that land more and more, if you catch my drift. He's going to keep healing it. So you don't want to be over there when he's healing that land, brothers and sisters, right? Not living over there anyway, right? And so what else is going to happen? Verse 7, this is the last verse. And when the 1,000 years are expired, I'm saying. So he was, in the beginning of the chapter, he bound Satan. That was my point. He bound Satan for 1,000 years. So Satan going to be bound for 1,000 years. And the people that made it to the first resurrection and came back to their foes, they're going to reign with Christ for 1,000 years. And this is 1,000 years of peace. 1,000 years of peace. This is the rest that he was talking about, brothers and sisters. You're supposed to have peace when you rest, right? So I hope everybody was edified today. Once again, when we see these things happening over there in the land, brothers and sisters, we see these wars happening and things like that. Remember, God said he got to heal that land. And through war, he's going to heal that land, right? So happy everybody was edified and hope everybody was edified. Once again, I give all honor and praise to the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Holy One of Israel, who is Jesus. I am Cassius Israel, a.k.a. Shazak Ben Yehuda. I represent the Walls of Jericho Biblical and Historical Studies, Hebrews in the Hood Media. Once again, don't forget that the mixtape will be out on the 22nd, brothers and sisters. This is also, like I said in the beginning, this is for the praises of God as well, brothers and sisters. But first and foremost, this is for the praises of God. I thank you for your time, and shalom.